And hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Touchdowns with Mac and Ron. Very happy to be here today. I'm Matt Gilbert. Very happy to be doing another YouTube/podcast episode for the first time in I don't know how long.
My name is Ron Cumberl, and I'm a friend of Mac's. Also football aficionado, old school, 49ers, 5 Super Bowl wins.
Absolutely. I mean, they haven't had one in, I don't know, since in the
1994.
94.
Super Bowl, sir.
Steve Young was the MVP of that, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. You were correct.
But anyway, we are here because we got a lot of football to talk about this year.
Amen.
I think one thing for sure you got to talk about is there's definitely been some surprises this year. I mean, we've mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers 3-1. They almost won last week.
Yes, they did.
So do they start, here's the question, do they start Wilson or do they keep the hot hand with Fields?
I would personally keep Fields in there.
Amen.
Because you gotta always go with the hot hand,
yeah.
No matter what. I feel like if you go with the hot, that's something I even think Chuck Noll did. Like when Terry Bradshaw got hurt, he had some guys coming off the bench who were hot. He would always go with the hot hand until they cooled down.
Yes, sir.
So you go with the hot hand. You go with Justin Fields until he cools down, and then like if he goes into a slump, then you put Russell Wilson in.
Bingo.
Another big surprise, Sam Darnold from the Minnesota Vikings. Wow,
beat my 49ers. Really shocked.
Yes, he did. He definitely beat.
He should have been our franchise quarterback for the Browns.
He should have been. I mean, people were even saying that they should have gotten him over Baker Mayfield back in 2018.
Amen.
I mean, I don't know if that would have. I mean, because Sam Darnold had struggles early on, so I don't know if that would have. I don't know if that would have ended differently or not than where we are now. But
well, like the song says, he'd just be another one in the dumpster fire. Worst case scenario. For those who know Brown Orr, we'll play that song sometime. It's not a copyright thing, is it?
Unfortunately, I think it is. And sure, I mean, we might even have to get the rights to the legendary Billy Joel for that one.
Yeah, he'll give it to us.
Oh! By the way, we were at his concert. Awesome concert.
That man is like a fine bottle of wine. He ages splendidly, and he can still rock and blow the roof off.
But anyway, you mentioned the Steelers. You mentioned Sam Darnold. I think those are the two biggest surprises this year.
Amen.
If the season ended today, I'm actually going to go far enough to say this. I think the Vikings have a shot to get to the Super Bowl. I really do this year if they keep playing like this.
I got to see a few more weeks before I'll say that, but they're doing good, and I commend them.
But I also think the Vikings have the greatest wide receiver in the game right now, and that's Justin Jefferson. Yes. The greatest in the game right now. Not greatest of all time.
I never said that. I got to look up stats on that one. I got to look up stats. Did he have a good game? Because you said the same thing about Baker Mayfield week 1.
Very funny, but
true.
He's had more good games. He's had 4 good games, and Baker Mayfield also had another good game this week where he threw.
Sadly. Oh, I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan, if you can't tell.
We know. Ron is not a Baker Mayfield fan. I am a Baker Mayfield fan.
I'm sorry, but when he was with the Browns, you get injured, you sit. It's that simple. You don't become Iron Man like Robert Downey Jr. from Marvel.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Ron, on that. When you get injured, you have to sit. And I don't even blame Baker 100% on that one. I blame the coach. The coach should have sat him down. He didn't. Baker's a competitor. That's why I love Baker.
A competitor nonetheless, but still, he should have enough head space to know. That means you should have enough head space to know he needs to sit to get healthy. Then he wouldn't have had 2 years in isolation. And it took him he had to go to the Rams, and then he had to go to the Bucks after Brady left. And then they weren't even sure if they were going to accept him because he had to compete for the job.
100%. And I will completely agree it was a mistake. But, I mean, and Baker, yes, should have had the sense. But also you blame the coach. The coach's job is to sit the player when he is hurt. That's not...
Well, that's true. Stefanski needs to go in Cleveland, but that's a story for another day.
There's a part of me that actually agrees with that because But like you said, that is a story for another day. Yes, he did win 2 Coaches of the Year, but one was because Joe Flacco
Yes.
came in and
Yes.
really, I know you have your story on him from the 2013 Super Bowl, but
People can change, and I forgave him.
yes, but we do have to forgive him, and I will even say it was wrong what he did in that Super Bowl.
Now, what was that name of that wide receiver you just mentioned a minute ago?
Justin Jefferson.
And he plays for Arizona?
He plays for Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. I'm sorry. Yes, you are correct. So let's see. The number one wide receiver right now. Oh, look at that. Houston Texans, my boy. Number one wide receiver, Collins, Houston. C.J. Stroud throws to him. There's a guy named Navers out of New York.
They're Giants. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Do you see the point I'm trying to make here? Where do we find your Jefferson? Okay, he's number 5, but not number 1.
Okay, you got me on that one, buddy. You got me on that one. So he's number 5.
But we'll see. He's having a good season. Top 5 is still good.
Yep, another one I think we have to put in there for a big surprise, the Commanders quarterback, Jaden Daniels. The Commanders have been off to a pretty good start this year.
I agree.
I think when you talk about C.J. Stroud, you talk about Jaden Daniels, those are 2 of some of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and I think they're going to be good for a long time.
Yes, sir, I agree.
I think I think we have a lot of quarterbacks that I think could really be...
You never know. That's why you play the game.
Exactly.
I mean, look at Brock. Yes, I'm going to talk about my Niners again. Look at Brock Purdy. Last draft pick, number 3 on the depth chart. And then number 1 goes down, Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, yes.
And then
Trevor Lawrence, and then Bryce Young went out for the Panthers. He's already out, like Andy Dalton's their starting quarterback.
I got the name wrong again. Not Trevor Lawrence.
Was it Bryce Young or...
49er quarterback that they...
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance, thank you. I always get them mixed up.
It's okay. I mean, we all get there. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence...
Do not get old, audience. Do not get old.
Trevor Lawrence starts for the Jaguars.
Trey Lance... My point is, Trey Lance was deemed the next Montana. Montana came and had a practice with him and said, "No, where are you getting this?" This was back a couple years ago.
I remember you telling me that, and then he came in and had one with Brock Purdy, and he's like, "I like him."
Yeah, exactly. But anyways,
and he was right. And when you look at some of the surprising stories that have happened in the NFL, Brock Purdy ranks number 2 in my book.
Oh yeah, number 1 would have to be
Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner, yes sir.
From the Rams, who were known as the greatest show on turf, and
yes.
I think at the time that was probably the best offense ever in football. Like
Amen.
Pure offense. Like
yes,
you had
sir. I agree.
Kurt Warner, you had Marshall Faulk, you had Isaac Bruce.
Yes, sir.
That team was loaded.
Yes, sir. Top to bottom. I agree.
You definitely those are some of the surprises. Now let's talk a little bit about the disappointments this year. If you ask me, I'm going to say the biggest disappointment so far has been my Miami Dolphins. Their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, went out again with another concussion, and now there's questions as to if he's going to return, when he's going to return, or...
Has to be the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey. Here you have the MVP player of the year, and he gets tendonitis. And we're going on week 4, and we still don't know when he's recovering.
Exactly, but Tua's gotten too many head injuries now, and you don't know, is he going to come back?
That's true.
Or not, and Miami's down to their 3rd-string quarterback.
Not good, my friend. Never good.
And I hate to say this, but the question is if you're Miami, what do? Do you go out and you get someone like a Ryan Tannehill, someone who can compete for you this year? Or if you're Miami, do you tank this year? And then if Tua comes back, Tua comes back, but if not, do you just tank this year and then go out and get a new
If there's
QB?
a viable player in the free agency, I would definitely go out and get him to make a run as good as we can go. When the Tua comes back, then you would have to give him an honest evaluation to see if he would be your guy. If he's too damaged, if he's taking, like you said, too many hits to the head, then you definitely, need to separate and move on. That would be the smart thing to do. If there's not a viable option, then you should run your 3rd stringer. until you can either get a better draft pick for the following season, or
Absolutely.
wait till you find that guy, depending on when that guy becomes, if and when that person becomes available.
Yes, because there's even a part of me that still thinks someone like a Ryan Tannehill can still. Yes, he didn't look too good last year, but yes, he was Miami royalty. There's a part of me that believes he could still play, and he would be a capable enough backup with Tua out.
Sure.
Where I feel there's a part of me that really believes with their wide receivers, they got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They got Mozart as their running back. With Tannehill, I still think this team could be a 9-8 team or a 10-7 team. And
Exactly.
that is
And that will
still
put-
good enough to go to the playoffs.
That will typically get you a wild card. Yes, if you have a weak division, you could win the division and get not a bye, but still get in there.
But yeah, I mean the thing is Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. You mentioned them; they're not going to be young forever.
No,
they were not going to be young forever. So
sadly, all professional players have a short shelf life. That's why they make so much money.
And I feel like the Dolphins. I mean, like they were like a win now team until.
Yes, sir.
And then now with Tua out, yes, they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year with Tannehill, but you at least could get a decent season and get to the playoffs.
Yes, sir. You're right. Hey, every year you get a dark horse in the playoffs.
And so
never
yeah, I
know.
think that's the biggest disappointment. Other disappointments I think are definitely the Cleveland Browns. Everyone thought this was going to be
As I
the
said,
year.
dumpster fire.
Deshaun Watson.
You trade one head case for another. That goes all the way back to when they left town and came back under the Browns. We haven't had a franchise quarterback since Bernie Kosar.
I would completely agree with you. I mean, Baker was the closest thing we've had to one.
Agreed.
And if he had sat through that injury, he probably would still be here and be our franchise quarterback.
Amen. Making God knows how much money a game, a year.
Yes, and the other thing when you talk about Baker starting that season hurt, I feel like the Browns had a capable backup, Case Keenum. He
Yes.
took the Vikings to the NFC Championship game 3 years prior.
This is true. Very good.
You pay someone $3 million to sit on the bench just in case something like that happens.
That is also correct. I agree. You are absolutely 100% correct, my friend.
Bengals have been a disappointment this year. Joe Burrow's still lighting it up, but that team itself is they're just not cutting it. And I think part of it is coaching. I think part of it is Jamar Chase. We don't know where he's going to go, when
Very
he's
true.
going to go there. So
Very true.
there's a lot of what ifs in Cincinnati, and I personally think one thing about them though, and I can't, and this is hard for me to say, but I feel like that owner there, he doesn't go out and spend the money. He needs to go out and spend some money because he needs to go get an O-line that's going to protect Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has already had 2 season-ending injuries in his 5-year career.
Correct. That is correct.
Justin Herbert, I think from the Chargers, I think he's still good, but I always felt like he's like a Phillip Rivers for them. There's something missing.
The man could never put it together. He always got them to the playoffs, but could never win the Super Bowl. You are correct.
But now they have your old guy, Jim Harbaugh, there.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
You had it because here's the thing. He likes Jim Harbaugh.
Now I'm splitting worlds here, folks. We're going to go into college momentarily. I'm a Buckeye hardcore. Go Bucks, OHIO. And I can be Harbaugh's friend 364 days a year. But before that, he coached this team, the Niners. 3 years. 3 NFC championships and a Super Bowl appearance. And what did the Niners do? Bye-bye.
And a part of that, I'm not even going to say was all him. I think there was something going on between him and that quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, at the time.
Colin Kaepernick, head case. A man that I do not want to associate with. Yes, agreed.
I would definitely agree with that. I never really was a fan of Kaepernick, and I think there was something going on between those two, and they thought getting rid of Harbaugh would take care of it, and
Kaepernick
it was not.
Kaepernick
was the issue,
problem.
not
Now
Harbaugh.
that said, I do love Kyle Shanahan too, but
I think Kyle Shanahan's done just as good of a job
Yes.
as Harbaugh has.
yes, I agree. We're just missing that 6th Super Bowl win.
And you know what? I'm not like the 49ers aren't my favorite team, but I'm going to say one thing about him. You guys, I'm rooting for you to finish this job because
Thank you.
3 Super Bowls, 6 NFC Championship appearances in the last 12 years.
Yes, sir.
That's impressive, and I just really am pushing. I just want you guys to finish this job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I really do, because like you said, like back in the day, the 49ers used to win all the time. I like to see this new generation get one.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cowboys are another story. I'll even put that on here right now. Cowboys and Ravens are the 2 teams I will always root against.
Well, there's a joke. There's two kinds of people in the world. You pick a team like the Cowboys, there's the Cowboy fans, and then everybody else who wants to see them lose. I agree. Back in the day, they were a 49er rival with Montana and Aikman.
And there's something the Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, did that I think is still unforgivable to this day. He fired Tom Landry the way he did.
Yes, agreed.
And I wasn't around at the time. You probably were. You were probably young, but you remember. But, I mean, 30 years he's been there. How many Super Bowls has he won for you?
And out the door you go.
And he was a good person, too, and they just said, "Your history."
I know.
You don't do that to someone like Tom
No,
Landry.
you do not. I agree.
And arguably, Landry's one of the greatest coaches to ever. I think he's a top 10 coach to ever coach this game.
Can you pause it? Sorry.
I think we both. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Tom Landry. I mean, what he did to Tom Landry. Tom Landry's one of the greatest coaches.
I agree. And then
what Jerry Jones did was definitely not right at all.
No, I totally agree with you.
But now moving on to that, let's talk about something else, which is going to be our final segment of this show, and that is going to be college football.
Buckeye Nation, baby.
Buckeye Nation. Buckeyes are 4-0 this year.
Yes, sir.
And now we mentioned Harbaugh a little bit before. Now that I think Harbaugh's gone, I actually have something to say. I think the Bucks are going to win it all this year, baby!
National title!
National title. We're coming for you.
Let's just look at the SEC, because that's what everybody's going to turn to. The last game with the upset versus Alabama versus Georgia, it's my general rant. Both teams have to score over 30 points. You forget how to play defense. And then you have the best weather. Let's march some of those teams up to the north. Play in the Big House. Play at the Horseshoe. Play in Happy Valley in November. See what a rainy, sleety game looks like. You're not going to score 60, 70 points for the whole team. You'll be lucky if it's like a 21-14 victory.
100%. 100%. Definitely. I think that out in the cold where we play, I mean, like, I think if we had to play with Ohio State, we're in the SEC, they could definitely win many more games. I think they could beat some of these teams.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even now with the weather's nice, look at the scores. Ohio State puts up the same scores. Here, let's just look up some of the stats real quick. 38-7, 49-14. I'm just saying, Ohio State is one of the best dominating. And this year they plugged some of the best holes. You have a top wide running back in TreVeyon Henderson. And then you go out and you talk to TreVeyon Henderson. Oh yeah, through the portal we can get another top 5 running back from Ole Miss. What do you say about that? You two can split time. Let's do that. They lost Marvin Harrison, who's probably going to have an excellent career in the NFL. He drafted in the top first round.
He has, but so far, I mean, this year, I mean, I feel like he's definitely been a little bit of a disappointment, but he's...
3 touchdowns in 1 game. You also got to remember what team he's on. He's not going to... He's not going to be he has the potential to be good, but he also needs a quarterback to throw to him, my friend.
He does, but I'm also going to say
This isn't the Cardinals with. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Kyler Murray, no, he is not the best quarterback in the NFL, but he's not as bad as I think he's kind of underrated a little bit.
Okay, so then do we say it's the offensive line not protecting the quarterback to throw to the?
I don't know, but yeah, the Cardinals have a long way to go before they're going to be any good. Like I can't really dig deep into that team right now, but they do have a long way to go.
If Jerry Rice didn't have Joe Montana to throw to, Jerry Rice would not be the number one wide receiver.
I would agree, but if Joe Montana didn't have Jerry Rice, is Joe Montana one of the best quarterbacks of all time?
You already know that answer.
You're going to say yes, you think Joe Montana...
Regardless of who Joe Montana had to throw to, he would have been one of the greatest quarterbacks. That man was clutch in every situation. He won games. He dug deep. He even did that in Notre Dame.
I'm going to say this about Joe Montana. Because, yes, like we're talking about college, but let me say one thing about Joe Montana. And we will talk about this more when we do our quarterbacks and coaches episodes. But I think there are quarterbacks that have had bigger records than Joe Montana does.
Of course.
That's a given. But I think when the game was on the line, there's no one better.
Amen to that, sir.
And I think that includes Tom Brady. That includes everybody.
Mahomes.
Even Otto Graham, who's been in 10 consecutive championships, I'll say when the game was on the line, no one is better than Joe Montana.
Amen, sir.
If I could take one with the game on the line, that's what I'm taking.
Amen to that.
But let's get back to college. I mean, I think Ohio State is 4-0. You mentioned the Georgia-Alabama game, which that kind of shocked me a little bit because I thought with losing Nick Saban, I thought Alabama was going to fall short to Georgia this year. I really did. I thought Georgia was more well-coached. They have an experienced coach. Kirby Smart is a great coach. I'm not going to...
He's not proven yet, is what you're trying to say.
He's not proven to be a top 10 yet, but...
he'll get there, I'm sure. They wouldn't have put him in charge, or he'll flop out in 2 or 3 seasons. If you don't consistently win in a program like Ohio State or Alabama, they will axe you quickly.
Another thing I wanted to ask you is if Ohio State doesn't beat Michigan this year, do you think Day is in the hot seat?
I say if Ohio State doesn't beat Michigan this year, Day is gone. That is my personal opinion, as much as I love Day.
I would have to agree with that statement, and I love Ryan Day just as much as you do.
Yes, sir.
But I think he is...
Like I was just saying, on Ohio State addressed a lot of their concerns. They went out and they plugged holes. They doubled up on players. They even brought in Chip Kelly to run the offensive line. That man is one of the living legends in football and coaching. So, just saying. If he can't do it this year, Ohio State's going to go, there's the door, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hit the road.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, that's going to conclude the first episode of Talking Touchdowns with Mac and Ron. So, happy to be here.
Yes,
for those just tuning in, I'm Matt Gilbert.
I'm Ron Cumberland.
And we are saying good night, and be sure to always tune in to Talking Touchdowns with Mac and Ron.
Amen.
Amen.